Welcome to the Replenish Me show on YouTube and radio. Today, I am honored to have one of my fellow Perryton Kers with me. But before I introduce you to her, I'm going to tell you a little bit about the whole purpose of the show. So the Replenish Me radio show and YouTube channel is about finding strategies for women to get from the chaos of wanting to be healthy to the calm of actually doing it. And I like to interview people who are amazing and successful, like Angela, who have actually gone through that journey, so you'll see how possible it is. So without further ado, I want to introduce you to the geeky girl, Angela Mandur.
Hi there.
Thank you so much for being here.
And thank you for having me. It's going to be fun.
Yeah, I think so. I'm really curious. So you are a widely successful business owner and a mom, and you've got like older kids, right?
Yeah, my girls are 18 and 22. And then we also have a visiting student here from Chile, and she's here. She's 17. So I have a third child for a little while.
So how do you, well, first of all, tell me how you decided to start on your self-care journey. And then the second question would be, how are you maintaining it?
Okay. So it started out mostly from the idea of wanting to feel better. I had no desire to lose weight, exercise. This was not in the plan. My plan was to feel better. I had headaches all the time, lots of sinus congestion. My digestion wasn't great. I felt sluggish and crappy. And I was looking for something to make me feel better. And I didn't know what it was. So that's where that discovery journey began. And so through the process, I did a bunch of things. One of the funniest stories about the start was the lady who I went to see for some assistance. She says, okay, so, what are the things you need help with? And I discussed it. And I said, but don't touch my food. Whatever you do, don't touch my food. I want you not to tell me what to eat, when to eat, like leave it alone. And she told me later, she goes, in the back of my mind, I thought, how am I going to help this woman? Like, I don't know how I'm going to help her. And so it's funny because I did agree, right? She says, how about we just try a 2-week sugar cleanse? We'll just try it and see how it goes. And she gave me this laundry list. And I said, okay, fine, 2 weeks. I'll do. And I was very, it was a very angry time. So I did. I tried the 2 weeks, long story short. But how do I maintain it today? I maintain it because I am mindful of how the food, what enters my mouth, how it makes me feel. And when I make a decision to eat something, the other day I chose to go, my husband and I went on a date, and I thought, oh, you know what? And rather than be my regular self and being, oh, I'll order this, but not that and this and next and that, I thought I'll just order a regular something, right? So I ordered what did I have? I had a gluten-free chocolate tort, but it was full of milk and sugar, which are two of my triggers. And then I also ordered a London fog tea, which of course is tea with lots of milk and sugar, right? And I thought, oh, it's just one night, whatever, right? And as I was sitting across from my husband, within about half an hour, I'm not even kidding, I looked over at my husband and I said, like, from my calves down, I'm in so much pain. Like, it was literally physical pain that I was feeling. And he's like, that can't be right. Like, that can't be affecting you that early. I'm like, it is. And I went to bed that night and my legs were so sore I could almost not fall asleep. Wow. So for me, it's about being mindful and being aware. Okay, that happened to me. So therefore, I can associate that. I apologize for the dogs.
That's okay. It happens. We know. So, wow, that's amazing. And that's really key, that you're mindful and you're aware of the effects that certain foods have on you. And I like that. I love, in fact, that your journey began with just wanting to feel better, right? Because a lot of times when we make it too complex, like I need to lose fill in the blank number of pounds, it's like so stressful. It's like you have to measure what the outcome's going to be. But in this case, you just want to feel good. And that made it so much easier. So even though you were feisty with your
yes,
with your coach, at least, you were open to giving it a whirl. So I want to know more about that. So what happened after the 2 weeks?
After the 2 weeks, I assumed it was over, right? I thought, okay, I'm done now, right? I can go back to life, right? My husband and I were actually with the family. We were planning on going to a festival that weekend. And I'm thinking, okay, so I've done my 2 weeks. I'm over, so I can go back and eat the way I want to. And it was my coach that said to me, okay, fine. Because I was emotional. I was of course, if anybody's gone through a sugar cleanse, it is ridiculous. You literally, people, I will tell you, having gone through it, you are addicted to sugar. And there is a coming down process from coming from sugar. I was a total nightmare of emotional mess. So when I went to her right before, I thought for sure she'd say, okay, you can go back to life. So I was really upset. And then she says, okay, well, I'll tell you what then. Take the day, go to your festival and eat what you want. Eat what you would normally eat. But all I ask is that you are mindful. All I ask is that you think about the choices and how do you feel as you're making the choices. And it was interesting because we stopped at a donut shop on the way down. And so I got my regular tea and a donut. And I remember thinking, that doesn't sit really well as we're driving, because we had to drive an hour to the festival. And I'm like, oh, it doesn't really feel very good. But she told me to be mindful, so I'm thinking, right? And I got to the festival, and I could smell the most amazing kettle corn popcorn. I remember walking in and going, it smells so heavenly. And then I walked up to the stand where they were selling it, and literally the minute I locked eyes on the popcorn, I went, oh, that's not going to feel good. I just sort of knew internally, and I went, oh, that sucks. And so then I had made some other choices throughout the day. When I eat my burger, I didn't eat it with the bun. I ate just the burger, that kind of thing, because I took a bite of the burger and I went, yeah, the bun was just, to me, wasn't palatable anymore. It turned into I don't know, goo.
Yeah. Yeah.
So being mindful is where that began. And I can really be grateful that she said that to me, because that's how I've continued.
That's amazing. Wow. What a challenge too. A festival. Oh my gosh. I don't know if I could do that. Coming off a sugar cleanse, you're like, all right, what can I get into?
Yeah.
And then she's like, no sweat, be mindful. You're like, Oh
my goodness. Yeah, it was interesting and a challenge at the same time. But I'm very grateful for the choice, right? And for not having her put that pressure on me, I told you need to continue, and right, because then I would have just been more about it. And then for her to say, do it, but think about how it makes you feel. And then I'm grateful that I was able to see it, and I was able to feel it and really be able to connect it. And I've had several situations like that. I went to a dinner where it was a sit down dinner, and they bring you your meals. And I had tried to get some help ahead of time from the servers. But they weren't super helpful. And it was funny because I was at a table with a whole bunch of people with a whole bunch of dietary issues, which was interesting. I think they just kind of all looked at the table and thought, oh my God, where did this table come from? But so anyway, they brought me one of the other things that affect me are the nightshade vegetables. And so she brought, the person had brought me a tomato soup, and I kind of went, okay, well, all right. Because, I sort of had to pick my battles, right? And I thought, well, how hard could it be, right? Whatever. And I had a few sips of the tomato soup, and I thought, this tastes really good. It's yummy. But again, it's like a half an hour later. It always seems to be, for me, it's that half hour. And I got the most horrific headache. Oh my God. And I'm just like, that soup was so not worth that.
Yeah. You finished the whole thing?
No, I only had a few because it just sort of, I had a few sips of it and I kind of thought, okay, well that's enough, because I knew I needed to make sure I ate something, because I couldn't go through the whole evening without eating, food. Otherwise then you have other issues, so I thought I'll just have some until the main meal arrives, kind of thing, because I was hungry, right? Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
interesting. So your inflammation comes pretty quick, right?
It totally does. Yeah. Yeah. Within about a half an hour, I guess. So that tends to be, it gets lit up pretty quick.
That's really amazing. You have your dogs and I have my kids. So
yes.
And yes, even though we do have several bathrooms in this house, only mine, is the best one to use. So
of course.
So then tell me, how did you progress from there, and how long did you end up working with her? So was it like months and months and months, or?
Well, I suppose I started working with her mid to late August of the year, of 2016. And we worked together for a few months anyway, maybe several, kind of thing. I'm trying to think of how long it lasted for. I think that the thing that really helped me, even from the very beginning, from the moment she said, okay, you're going to try a sugar cleanse, the number one thing that helped me the most was that I didn't go home and go, oh, I can't eat that. I can't eat that. I can't eat that. I flipped the script on myself. So instead, I got out a piece of paper and I started writing all the things I could eat.
Right.
So something would pop into my head, and if I couldn't eat it, I wouldn't write it anywhere. Right. But if I went, oh, I can eat broccoli. Oh, well, I can eat this and I can eat that. And having her to bounce ideas off of, right? Because the first week I was eating there was no pasta in it. There was no rice in it. It was literally, essentially, it was just meat and veggies. And so I went to her and I'm like, okay, this is all fine and good. And I love my meat. Don't get me wrong. But no potatoes, no rice, no pastas, what do I do? And she went, oh, well, you can have brown rice. I'm like, okay, brown rice. Well, is that the same as this? She's like, no. So she explained because I didn't understand. So she explained the difference and what brown rice was. And then she says, you can try brown rice pasta. And I'm like, yeah, no, not doing that. Thanks, but I'll try brown rice. And then so I went away that week and I ate my brown rice. And I'm like, I thought, okay, fine, I will try this brown rice pasta thing she said, because I had tried the other pasta, the whole wheat stuff, and I really hated it. I didn't like it. So I thought, I'll try it. Well, and we eat brown rice pasta now.
So yeah, see?
Yeah.
Not so bad.
No, but it's about making changes and learning different ways to, create dishes in a different way. That I was a huge eater of all kinds of sauces, and most of my sauces were either cream or tomato based.
Yeah.
What do you do?
You cannot starve.
True. Yes.
I like that. So your mindset going into the whole thing was what I can do. I can do.
Yes.
That's great. I love that.
And I think that's the only reason why it actually worked as well as it did, because I just kept adding to the list. Oh, I can eat nuts. Oh, I can eat this. I can eat, right? Right. And so that for me helped, because when I was hungry or when I was craving something to just eat, and I'm a grazer, literally if I lived on my own, I would just eat all day. My ideal lunch, I have one of my children is a meal eater, right?
Right.
And so she looked at me the other day and she's like, Mom, what are you having for lunch? I went, well, I've got a few pieces of meat and I've got some olives and I've got some of this and I've got some of that. And she goes, that's not lunch. I'm like, it's lunch for me, right? So for me, I needed to be able to look at a list and go, okay, I'm hungry. Okay, I can go have a quarter cup of grapes, or I can go have, whatever. And I could pick something off the list to go and grab in between, because I do like to eat, sort of graze throughout the day.
Yeah. That's neat. So but you figured that out on your own. She didn't have you in you had to eat meals. She had it where you could kind of graze, keep with your own eating habits.
Yeah, it was just about what I ate. It wasn't necessarily when I ate it. So it was just make the change to don't eat, these are the things to avoid, and then eat when you want to eat, but from this list, not that.
So then, like, once you made these changes, how soon after did you start feeling better? Like, did you get the result that you wanted? Was it like immediate or?
Well, gosh, no. I mean, the first 2 weeks, coming off sugar all by itself was an absolute nightmare. I felt worse than I ever did. I mean, let's just be honest.
Right.
But moving into week 3 and week 4, that's when the payoff comes. That's when I started to make the change going the other way. And that's when weight started to come off too. And I was surprised. And I don't pay attention to these things. I'm not a fan of scales or measuring tapes or any of those sorts of things. And you'll laugh because my husband is huge into scales and measuring tapes and working out and eating properly. And he is like, we are polar opposites when it comes to these things. And then so he says to me, he's like, you need to weigh yourself and see what, and I'm like, I'm not weighing myself. It's like, well, then you need to measure yourself so you can see your difference and you get to see your results. I'm like, I don't need any of those things. That's not what I'm into, all that kind of thing. And I would have people say to me, I think you better get some new clothes. Those aren't fitting very well anymore, because I was just like, well, whatever, I can put them on and they fit and they don't feel uncomfortable, so fine.
That's really great. I love that you didn't want to measure by the numbers. And opposites attract, so I'm not surprised that your husband is all about the numbers. So.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah.
But in my business, it's very number based. It's very, right? Like I'm very much in regards to here's my goals, here's my expectations, here's the actions I'm taking. So it's completely different the way I treat my person as I do my business. So it's kind of interesting.
That's a good point though, because like when I work with women, I like to work with women that are very successful in their business, and they will measure and benchmark and, look at the data for their business. But they're not going to pay attention to any of that in their personal life. So this is a very normal thing, very normal and natural. So your husband's big into working out. So did he drag you working out with him, or what happened there?
He likes to try. Oh my gosh. He's been trying for years. And had you asked me a year and a half ago, I would have said, I'm allergic to exercise. That was my standard response. Somebody say, why don't you exercise? I'm allergic. In my history, anytime I ever tried to work out, I literally would gain weight. I'm not even kidding. And I know why now because of because the research I've done and that kind of thing. I would physically gain pounds or whatever while I'm working out. For me, it was about finding the right fit. And it's funny, my husband still tries to get me off of what I love. He wants me to do what he loves, right? He likes the bouncing around, like the P90X and the I don't know, T25s, like bouncing around and being crazy. And I'm so not about that life. So for me, what I found was I love yoga. And I also love a program called PIO. So it's Pilates and yoga mixed together. Yeah. And for me, it's the purposeful movement and the flexibility and the strength building that I love. And I also love to lift weights. I just don't have I don't put the time into that one. With PIO, it's easy. I just put a video on and it's a lazy thing. But you know what? I have built muscle and I also have what's called hyperflexible joints. Mm-hmm. So for me, the bouncing around is actually bad for my joints. It really causes a lot of problems, specifically in my hip flexors. But the PIO creates the stability and the muscle mass to support the joints in a better way. And so that works for me. And I think that, lots of people before used to say, oh my God, you just need to find the right program. And I'd be like, yeah, whatever. And they'd say, oh, once you get to a certain point, you're going to crave working out. And I'm like, I'm allergic. Like this, I want an EpiPen every time you come near me. Yeah, no. But now I haven't been as regular. I was very regular working out up until the summer. Okay. And then the summer happened in my life. And I had a very crazy summer. And I really did go, oh my God, like I'm missing this working out thing. This is so weird. And so, now now that the fall's here, moving back into a routine again, but I was surprised that they were right.
Who knew? They knew better.
Just whole, got to change my eating habits. And oh my God, I'm going to like working out. What is this life?
I like that. It's true too, because like, I'm so much like you. When I first started on my path, I wanted to feel better, right? And the exercise bit, I was like, I was never a gym junkie or any of that. And people were like, oh, you need to do aerobics. I'm like, aerohu? And, I would like walk for miles, and that was my version of exercise, And then I found Pilates. And I fell in love. I was like, oh my God, who was hiding this from me? And like when I didn't have my workouts, my body would actually ache for it, So I know that story. And it was so weird for me. Even now, like if for a while there, after I got into my 40s, I got really into weights because I noticed I felt better doing weights. But still, my body craved Pilates, So it's, your body will tell you what it needs. So that's kind of neat. I think are you the third or fourth woman that I've interviewed? And everyone says it started with mindset. Mm. And everyone says it started with a feeling. And that's what they were measuring. They weren't measuring, so much they want to be a certain size, a certain weight, or any of that. And some of them haven't even really gotten to the point of exercising yet. But the food thing is huge, just getting into the groove of eating differently. So are you cooking now, or were you cooking before, or how's that?
Yeah, always cooked before anyway. Okay. Because I have my two children, one is like mom and one's like dad, right? Like the dad and the other daughter, they need regulated meals and they need specifics, like they have to have a full meal. And my other daughter and I were grazers, so we just could care less, right? So I've always had to have meals. But what has really gotten sort of fine-tuned is that the meals are different. I like to experiment, but I also like to make sure that everybody knows what's happening ahead of time. My young daughter, who needs to have her meals in, right? She's very picky about what she eats. She's ridiculously picky. And I'm grateful now that they're both adults because I literally write the menu out. Here's what we're having this week. If you don't like it, you can go buy yourself something else. You can go cook something else. I'm not fighting anymore. I have fought for 18 years. I'm over that. So, and she's very health-minded, which is also nice. She likes to be healthy as well. Again, like her father, from that perspective, she's a hockey player. So, she likes to make sure she has the right nutrition value and blah, 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 which is helpful. But she's picky. So for us, having meal plan is important. Sometimes we will meal plan to the point where we will create our lunches. And my oldest daughter who works, her friends are at work will go like, oh my God, your lunches are gorgeous. Like they look better than my suppers because we make a full balanced lunch, right? Like we do the whole, like, let's say it's chicken and rice and a vegetable or something like that as a lunch. And other people are like, I don't eat this good ever.
Yeah. That's amazing. So tell us about your company. What do you do, and how has that changed now that you've changed the way you care for yourself?
Wow. As you mentioned, I'm also known as the geeky girl, and I've always been a geek. So for me, working with computers and technology, that's been what I love to do most. And so I help businesses with their online and social media presence. I spend time online sitting in front of my desk a lot. So I spent a lot of time, working on computers and technology. And so therefore, it was a sedentary lifestyle, right? There's not a lot of movement in my job. I'm not walking around and that kind of thing. But what's changed, I think, is that I have more energy. And so I'm able to be focused longer. Now, one of the other pieces that I haven't mentioned up till now is that I was diagnosed with ADD when I was an adult. So I dealt with it a lot as a child, but I didn't know, right? And people would just tell me I was lazy and I was just a bad student and that kind of thing. But what I've noticed is that by paying attention to my diet, being more careful about my exercise, and ultimately helping to work on the digestion problems that I have, and being mindful, working on like B12 and that kind of thing, that my ADD's gotten better. And so I used to take ADD medicine and now I can go without it. So that's a huge deal. I didn't like having it, but I liked its results. And so I still have problems. There's still good days and bad days. But overall, making the dietary changes, making the changes in, my habits, then I have been able to be much more successful in my life outside and inside my business.
So you're overall more productive and you've gotten yourself off medication. So that's great. So yeah. I recently joined your community and I like what you do in there. What I find interesting is your daily themes are different. Like most of the groups, the themes are always the same: Motivational Monday, whatever, like that. So tell me, how did you come up with those different theme days?
Well, inside, they're still the same. But I write them differently each time, and sometimes I change the picture, because that's what I find is that a lot of people are creating a theme and they just put the same thing every day, the same words. And I wanted it to be more personal. I wanted there to be a connection, and I really want people to have an overall communication with each other. And so telling my story is what I want to do. Each of the days is actually a piece of the puzzle to making your social media work better. So the longer you stay, the more that you absorb. For example, Truly You Tuesday, which is today, and I'm in my group. It happens to be a Tuesday, the day you and I are talking. It's all about being who you are and being able to show up online as who you are. And I want people to share, things that they've created, whether it's a blog post or a video or whatever it is that they've created. I want them to share inside the group. That gets us all to get to know each other a little bit better, which is nice. We all get to see what each other has to offer, but it also gives people the opportunity to say, hey, Ange, here's my blog post. Can you go check it out? What do you think? And then it gives me the opportunity to bounce ideas off them. Maybe when it posts, it doesn't post with a pretty picture. Well, of course, being the person I am, the first thing I'm going to say is, did you know that, when you create your blog post, you can do X, Y, Z, blah, blah, blah. And I can give them tips and helpful ideas. So each of the days actually has a piece to the puzzle to being a better social media manager for your own brand.
I like that. Well, that is one of my challenges. When I post my blog post, the picture is not what I want it to be. So I will post mine so you can give me some feedback.
I will totally do that. You bet.
And what's the name of your group? I'm going to put it below the recording also, but just mention it. So if anyone wants to join your Facebook group.
Yeah, sure. And it's entrepreneurs and business owners who rock social media, but you can find it really easy by going to geekygirl.ca/power.
Okay, great. So we'll just put that link underneath your website. So
yeah, you bet.
Great. So when did you start live streaming, and how did that come a part of your business?
Oh gosh, I joined Katja, I looked it up yesterday just because, it was an interesting thing on her live stream. 11 days after she opened her community, I was part of her community. So I had jumped in right away. Being a social media manager means knowing or paying attention to all of the new and interesting things happening in the world. For me, live streaming makes sense specifically because I am a public speaker as well. But for me, I've always delivered my content verbally. Even in high school, I would say to my teacher, can I please give a book report live rather than writing it out? And the teachers loved it because everybody was so afraid of talking in front of the class. And I was like, please, for the love of everything, can I please just talk in front of the class instead of write you something? So for me, this is way better for me. If you had asked me to write you an article, I would be stressed about it and it would be painful, but I can easily do this. And so live streaming for me makes sense. I love the idea that live streaming allows you to really get to know people. You can hear somebody's voice, you can hear the inflection, you can see what they write and think about what it is that they have written. But to actually see somebody in action, to actually connect with somebody through the visuals and the audios, for me, it really brings somebody to an awareness that's something different. And I love connecting with people in that way.
And you're really good at it. I love being on share-a-thons with you, and your perspective on things is like just so out of the box. So
well,
yeah.
Thanks. I appreciate it. I love being on them with you too. So it's pretty cool. It's fun.
I know. And that's the thing about Perry 10K. Like a lot of us, it's like we're a tribe and we were missing each other all over the world.
It's amazing, right? Like you think about all the different people that we connect with on a weekly basis, like even just connecting inside our, just a group of people and all the different people from all over the world. And we really bring a lot of love and a lot of positive, amazing energy to the planet. And I'm so about that.
Yes, you so are. And you like radiate that. So you also have a podcast, right? You have a podcast? No?
I do have a podcast. It's sort of not really going. Because what it was I was talking to parents and teachers and caregivers about technology for their kids.
Okay.
And the uptake just isn't there right now. So it's really interesting to watch. And this is something that happens in everybody's business, right? Yeah. You have to be able to look at what's happening in your business and answer back to what your audience is telling you. People are loving the podcast, but I'm having a really hard time getting the people on the podcast as people to interview. So that's where this push-pull happens, and you really have to look at, okay, so what does that mean? What does that look like? And currently what that means is that it's just not happening right now. But I have some amazing episodes that I still push out through social media because the information is still valuable. The old podcasts that I have out there are still relevant. They're still amazing. I interviewed some amazing people. I interviewed you. Yeah. So the information is still relevant. And so, yes, I still publish the older content, which is something that's really important people need to do. Just because you wrote a blog post doesn't mean to say that blog post only needs to get shared once. That's valuable content. You got to reshare.
I just realized that too, because like some weeks, and this is to your point about there really being seasons, right? With different things that you're doing in your business. Recently, I haven't really been into writing my articles. It's not a full-on writer's block, but it's just like, I'm just not feeling the writing right now, and quite frankly, a lot of times people were not reading the articles anyway. So I was like, okay, what can I do different here? But sometimes people are like, oh, didn't you write an article about, right? So it's not that they didn't read it, is they didn't have time. And now they want to read it. So I was like, I'm going to recycle and start pushing out those things I did earlier in the year because I just don't feel like writing anymore. So.
Yes, totally. Yeah. It's all about being mindful about what's happening. The most successful people in the world are people who are able to look at what's happening and adjust, not quit.
Yes, I like that. So what, do you have any upcoming events or things going on in your business?
Upcoming. In November, I'm going to be doing an amazing 5-day challenge for planning your 2018. So that's going to be fun. And that's all of my energy that in the background is going towards that, creating that and putting together an amazing 5-day challenge on that level. I'm really looking forward to it. And that I would say that's my biggest thing that I'm creating right now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. So
and of course, October is my favorite month. So, and I'm surprised I was going to bring something into the office, but I don't have it. That's all right. But October is my favorite month because it's Halloween. And Halloween is my holiday. As much as other people have Christmas, I have Halloween. And as a business, and as a household, we also do all of our philanthropy work in October. So we have a huge yard display that we put together, which is all goblins and ghosts, and we have a huge cemetery scene, and we have a blast scaring people. It's so much fun. And so through the month of October, we ask people to bring us non-perishable food items as well as cash donations, and then we give all of that to a local charity here in town. And for us, it brings everything together. It brings our love of the time of year together with the ability to help other people here in our town. So that's what we do in October, and everything else just sort of rides the wave of the philanthropy through October. Yes.
I love that, because, you know, people are struggling all year long, and, you know, they shouldn't have to wait for Easter or Thanksgiving. I guess Thanksgiving is October for Canadians anyway, right?
Well, our Thanksgiving is happening this weekend.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. So then, but there isn't a huge push for, like, our food banks don't ask for food for Thanksgiving.
Wow.
Our food banks really push out for Christmas, and that's like their big push is Christmas. And then there is sort of small little things throughout the year where they're like, oh, we need more food. But their big thing is the Christmas hampers and Christmas. Even Easter's not that big of a push here for, yeah.
Wow. Yeah, but still people shouldn't have to wait. So that's really great that you pick an off month, right? An off month.
Yeah.
To really give. That's amazing. And what was the other thing? You said something. Oh, right. So exactly what are the dates of your challenge? Because I think for the audio portion, this may be rolled out in November.
Okay, well, you're going to have to excuse my turning around, because see this calendar, that's the rules right behind me. The challenge starts on the 6th.
Okay.
The 6th of November will be when the challenge rolls. So yeah, that's not funny. Like that's my law right there on how I run my business.
Yes, that is the law.
That is the law in my business. And I have beautiful sticky notes that I can move to make the law work.
And see, I just thought it was some beautiful pattern back there. I was like, is that like a chessboard? Or no, it can't be a chessboard. I was trying to work that out. So you have color coded.
That's my yearly calendar.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. Can't wait for your challenge, because I need more of that. I'm like checking that as best I can. Yeah.
Awesome.
Thank you so much for being here. Is there anything else you want to share with us from your story of journey to self-care?
I think you said it right. It started with a mindset change. It started with the desire for something, whatever that was. And it was bigger than, for me, it was bigger than the scale, and it was bigger than what size pants I wear. And starting out with the concept of what I can do rather than what I can't. And then giving myself grace throughout the process, being mindful of how things made me feel throughout the process. And yeah, I didn't start working out right away. I think it was probably 10 months into my journey, or maybe 8, I don't know. But it was a while into my journey before I thought, well, maybe I'll try something, you know? And it took some challenge to get started. But I did enlist a friend. So, you know, her and I could do it together. So sometimes it helps to have a partner who's willing to kind of help you through that journey. And a coach obviously would be great for something like that. But yeah, it took time, and it's a process. It's still a process. There's still things that I tweak. And when I landslide or when I slip backwards, like I did the other night with my husband, I don't beat myself up for it. I just go, okay, that was a choice. Do I want to continue making those choices, or do I make different ones? That's all. It's not about beating myself up, and it's not about saying I failed. That whole conversation of, you just need to get up more times than you fall. That's just the way it is.
Yeah, I love that. Thank you so much for sharing that. And yes, mindfulness and forgiveness with self.
Yes, because we're quick to forgive everybody else, or we're quick, if our girlfriend says something, we go, no, don't treat yourself that way. Don't treat my friend that way, right? So we need to do that to ourselves, where we say, come on, let's be nice to ourselves now.
Yes, absolutely.
Totally.
So thank you for your time today. Thank you for sharing with my viewers and listeners. And congratulations. I hope you more success on your continued journey.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it, Cordelia.
You're welcome.
Bye.
Bye.